Tara, can you lead us off in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Reverend Cooper is here for our invocation.
Good evening, Reverend.
Would you like us to sit or stand? Your choice.
I would love for you to stand.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Okay, that's why I'm hidden from the cameras. Father, we just want to thank you for this beautiful day that you have made. We ask, oh God, that you would continue to bless us. Bless all who assemble here, oh God, whether they have new ideas, new plans, or grievances, that they present them in a concise manner, oh God. That all the citizens of this great city, oh God, or this great town, will be able to live their lives peacefully with prosperity and protection. Bless all of us as we continue to deliberate, oh God. Bless the council persons, oh Father, and the supervisor, that they will listen clearly and consently, oh God, to every petition, every grievance, everything that is brought forth, and that they will deal directly and quickly, oh God, that we may have a good town, a good time, that our children also may enjoy the benefits of this great place. We thank you and we bless you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Reverend Cooper, thank you very much. So before we get started, how many folks are from Lakewood? Okay, so I want to say something. I'll do this if you want. I'm going to take everybody out of order, but I can't have everybody come up to talk about Lakewood. Otherwise, I have to wait till the end of the meeting. But I don't want you to wait till the end of the meeting, because the meeting could go on to 8:30, 9 o'clock. So I want to say something, because there's a lot of unfair criticism on some ridiculously stupid blogs, and there's a gentleman sitting in the audience that I believe is writing them. And so I want you to know what's going on. And some things we're going to be able to do, and some things we can't. And so I don't want you to wait. If there's one or two people that want to come up and talk to us, I'll take you in the beginning. But if it becomes a tremendous number of people, then I'm going to have to cut you off and bring you to the end, because we have 5 public hearings. So just a show of hands, would you like me to take the community first with 2 or 3, 4 people maybe talking? That's it. Show of hands. Give it yes for that. No, you want to wait till the end? No, you want to wait till the end. Okay. So this is how I came to know Lakewood. I knocked on your doors to garner your votes. And there was a gentleman that I knocked on the door, and he told me all the problems in Lakewood. And I said, oh, gee, we didn't know. And so we did several things. We sort of descended on there with the police force. Now, the police force is in there in ways that you know about, and ways you don't know about, and ways I'm not going to tell you about because I don't know about. We descended on there with code enforcement. We boarded up a house. We almost forced them to remove the house. We met with some of the property owners, past and present, and what we did was had them come in and talk to us about things that we could do and things that we couldn't do. We have no control over rent. We have no control really over the rules and regulations of Lakewood. In other words, if Lakewood has something in their lease, that's not enforceable by the town. That's enforceable by you and Lakewood. But be that as it may, we had our town attorney go meet with Kingsley Management and talk to them. We had a civic organization meeting, which several people from Lakewood came. I don't see, did anybody come to that civic meeting last week? No, but there were 2 or 3, 4 people from Lakewood that came to the civic meeting, sort of an open house to talk to the town supervisor. We have told them that rental permits are needed if these are rentals. We have told them that we will enforce against anybody that we can. Now, you have to understand, in your community, as in any other single-family residential community, I can't get a search warrant without having probable cause, Bob?
Probable cause.
Probable cause. I'm an attorney, but I don't want to play one on TV. So sometimes, you know, what you think is obvious isn't probable cause, but we've gone in and we've written tickets, we've put everybody on notice, and we're in there. There's a lot of unnecessary criticism on the blogs, and I don't respond to them because I think anybody that would want to say something should say something to my face or the town board's face, which is why you're here. But know that we are in your community in full force. Now, so because we're going to take you out of order and it's not really fair to the public hearing, can I get like 3 or 4 hands that want to speak, and then this gentleman here, does anybody else want to speak? Okay, well, that works. Go ahead, sir. Stand up to the podium, yes, and state your name and your hamlet, where you live, sir.
Good evening, Supervisor and other town council members. My name is Doug Rosenbrock. I was a Lakewood resident for 4 years, 4 years and a month. I just recently spent $25,000 to move my home out of this community. First 2 years, I paid my rent and never had even a conversation with the management of this when it was McLeod's. When Myra McLeod owned it, I never even had a conversation with them. No complaints. Within weeks of Kingsley management taking over this property, I was on the phone continually, and the police activity, your own chief of police has confirmed that police activity started taking place in this community in a matter of weeks. That was like by February of 2012, like 3 or 4 weeks after they took this property.
That's not actually why it happened, sir. It happened because...
Well, let me finish speaking, please.
Well, I'm sorry, but I've run the meeting.
I want to hear, okay, I do want to hear how this happened.
Sir, in November of 11, I met with the gentleman, and you know who he is.
Norman?
And I'm not saying...
Oh.
And he explained all the problems. It had nothing to do with Kingsley management. So in around December, we had meetings. Right after the election, we had meetings. And the police presence and everything you have seen is a direct result of knocking on that gentleman's door and him telling me about everything. It wasn't Lakewood. It wasn't Kingsley management, but...
Well, no, I have to really, I have to correct you on that, Supervisor, because the fact of the matter is, in the first 2 years, I had no recollection, and when we met with you on June 11th, Chief Hedgermiller nodded when I said I don't recall any police presence in our park until January or February of 2012. It was a couple of weeks after they took over the property. He nodded an affirmation of that.
Sir, as I just said to you, it's because in November of 11, I knocked on somebody's door. He explained all the problems. We went through the election. In November, December, we formed, actually the police were there long before, you saw them. We formulated a plan of what we were going to do in that community. That's why the police were there. Honestly, if I had knocked on the door and spoken to this gentleman, I don't even know that you would have seen anything, but that's why the police were there.
I certainly would, because it wasn't until February of that year, a couple of months after Kingsley acquired the property, that I had to start calling the police because of the people that lived in the home directly across from me. I notified Kingsley that there were people living in that property with young children that were in numerous violations of their lease agreement. I spoke to John Peck specifically, okay? That gentleman, that was Joe. That was January, February 2012. Right after Kingsley acquired the property in December 2011.
Had nothing to do with that, but
Let me go through
because I had no idea at the time that we were ramping up. You don't want to believe me, and that's fine. But I had zero idea, no knowledge that Kingsley was taking that property at the time. Zero knowledge. So the fact that we came into there had nothing to do with Kingsley. But that doesn't take anything away from Kingsley. And, sir, you were in my office. Go ahead.
Thank you. My first call to the police department in 2 years of never having any communication with the Kingsley or with McLeod's office, first 2 years. First call and complaints was to Kingsley office in January or February of 2012. That was Joe that moved in with his young son. Within a couple of days of Joe moving in that January, February timeframe, 2012, one of the residents in the park called because there were blood-curdling screams going on from Joe. Joe was an underage in violation of the lease agreement with a young child living with him. Somebody called the police. That was the first time I ever witnessed police responding to a criminal complaint in the Lakewood community. Joe was there, kind of an undesirable character for many, many months. He skipped town. He beat the sublet. He was the double sublet. Fast forward to a few months later, after Joe left, we have Jay move in, another 45-year-old gentleman who passed away in the home in Christmas. He also moved in. Before he did, after Joe left, okay, I went to John Peck at Kingsley, and I said, look, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. I said, and I want to rent this out. I want to rent each one of the rooms out to individuals, non-related. I said, can I do that? He goes, absolutely not, you can't do that. So Alberto, the subletter of the unit that you've had all these problems with, okay, had a Craigslist ad that he was going to rent rooms to it. I told John Peck about this. Kingsley was aware that there were people in violation of their lease agreement from day one, from Joe through Jay, right on through to the drug dealers that we're dealing with today. Okay, they had no response. So, and Supervisor, I really have to tell you that maybe I've confused some of the dates that you're throwing around and stuff. My recollection is actually, I mean, I've written all this stuff down because I've been so assaulted by this, but I'm going to tell you this. This is the important message you, as the town board, need to take away from this, okay? This company, this is their business model, all right? They are creating a ghetto for you at the gateway to Riverhead and to the Twin Forks. I can show you 40 years of documented history, okay? 40 years that this is the way they do business. And what they aim to do with these people is economically evict them. They need to be able to collect $1,400 and $1,500 rents out of this community. Fixed income seniors are not the clients they're looking for. I'll leave it at that. All right, we can kind of spar on dates and time frames and stuff.
But
this
sir,
is
you
what this company is doing.
you understand from that meeting, and the residents need to understand, this town board and this police department are going to do everything humanly possible to make sure that the people in that community are law-abiding, that they're complying with the town code. Tara, can we turn the mics down? They seem to be. That they're complying with the town code. But one of the things that you have to understand too is we have no control over your rents. Zero. We have no control. We have no control over your lease.
We understand that. Nothing we've communicated to the
Can I
board.
just ask you one question?
Sure.
What are we talking about? I know nothing about what you're talking about.
This is on River
River
Road.
I'm trying to understand, but this is the first time I'm hearing about anything.
We got
And
we got an email a couple of weeks ago, and that was the first time that we heard of it. And I've been trying to ask questions, try and find out what it is that you're talking about.
This is the situation, and from our perspective, and again, Supervisor Walter is really seeing a different situation than we're claiming to be living with. We believe, and we have a lot of documentation of Kingsley's activities throughout the country. We believe what we're being faced with is a process that they're calling, that other residents have faced throughout the country for the last 40 years, called economic eviction. Kingsley management, the board of directors, in a phone call with Mr. Back, said, we have looked at 2-bedroom apartment rentals on Long Island. Your rents in Kingsley in Lakewood should be about $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 a month. So what we're seeing, what we've documented, and I can show you time and time again, what they do is basically come in and trash the place by opening the floodgates with illegal subletting. The illegal subletting is, and this is why our petition to you is enforce every rental unit. They are supposed to file a census with you and New York State on an annual basis, all right? And it's not just, it has to be a bona fide census. They have to actually, has anybody in here been contacted?
Sir, address the board.
I will. They have to prove to you who's living in these homes. So how many rentals that Mr. Duffy met with Kingsley Management Corporation? How many rental homes have they identified in that community?
Can you just, what do you want from us?
I want you to identify every violation that this company is in everything they're in violation of, and enforce every code.
And we will do that with the Riverhead Town Code, because that's what we enforce, sir.
That's
And
all.
we also enforce the New York State Building Code. But a lot of the things that you're asking us to do are well beyond our purview.
Please
And
tell me
you
specifically.
have my
Please tell
word.
me specifically what that is.
You have my word that we will enforce that building code, we will enforce the town code, we will enforce the rental code. You have our word as a board,
Okay.
not
You know
as you,
what?
and
I have to
we
say-
will enforce the law with the police department.
I have to say that I'm disturbed that this came to the attention of the town in 2010, that in 2012, February of 2012, we've known that there's a problem with rental permits, and now it's 2.5 years later, and nothing has been done.
That's not accurate. You're
Well,
not
we're not
you're
getting
accurate.
briefed on it. As a board member, and I
You're-
think
it's
my
not-
fellow board members can concur,
You're
that
not
we didn't
being-
know about this until
Right.
until you sent the email, if it was you, a few weeks
Okay,
ago.
so first
So what
of
you're
all,
saying is
Councilman
that
Giglio.
Kingsley
Wait a minute,
is
excuse
trying
me,
to-
excuse me.
Okay.
First of all, nobody said anything about 2010.
You
Second
said
of
you
all,
knocked on their doors in 2010 and
2011,
identified a
I-
problem and had a meeting with them in 2011,
I said.
shortly after the
Can
election.
you let me explain what I said? In 2011, I knocked on a gentleman's door in November, just before the election. And in 2012, the police department, the code enforcement spent a tremendous amount of time in there. Now, that has been done. That is part of the town building department, police department, do a tremendous amount of work during the day that the board doesn't necessarily get briefed on. I had no knowledge of anything in 2010, so please don't say that nothing was done.
We did
have
not
spent-
find out about this until we got an email from your community 2 weeks ago.
And that, honestly, Councilwoman Giglio, if you spent more time in town hall, you would know more.
You know which one? I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday from
All right,
9
he just wants
o'clock
to speak.
until
The-
4:30 in the afternoon.
the
And we have
town-
several executive sessions and several orders that we discuss in executive session
And
about
this-
possible litigation and raids, and you have never brought this to our
Actually,
attention, ever.
I do believe this did come up in executive session.
John, do
This is
you
the
recall
first-
this?
is the first time I'm hearing about this.
If I may, if we can go back on track, I would like to know, I want to be very clear,
We're making a total charade of this.
Supervisor.
It
Walter.
should be a
We
charade.
are
These
only-
people's lives are suffering
That's
from
right.
drug dealers and people that are abusing our code with the rental application permit process. And you know what? We're doing nothing about beefing up code enforcement and going over these illegal crowded houses.
Just, just because you say it over and over doesn't make it true. And
Can I-
there's
can
a
I-
gentleman,
before
no,
I-
you'll hold on a moment, sir.
Please, okay.
There's a gentleman in this audience that I'm going to let speak because he knows that we have spent a tremendous amount of time and effort in this community. And you have my word that we will do everything we can. But it is not, we are not going to be able to, bad people do bad things. And as they do bad things, sometimes we catch them right away and sometimes we don't. And you have my word, we're in that community. And I shouldn't even say that, there's undercover people in that community. There are things happening in that community that it would not be appropriate to talk about. And you, sir, knew about this and know about this because we spoke about it in my office several months ago. So what else would you like to add to this?
I want to say this, and I'll finish up, and if you want George to speak, I'll be glad to let him speak. But I want to be clear on I want some clarification from you, but first I want to state very clearly, for the record, everything that I've communicated to you and to anybody about this issue is, I understand what your legal authority is, and it is rentals and it's overcrowding. That's all we're asking you to do. So what I would like you to do is, you keep telling me that We're asking you to do something above and beyond that, and I really want you to be very specific in what you are claiming I'm asking you to do above and beyond code enforcement that pertains to rentals and overcrowding.
We will take care of every issue. If you give us a rental complaint that somebody is illegally renting, we will enforce against it. You give us a code enforcement complaint. If we witness a code enforcement complaint, we will enforce against it. What we cannot do is what you're talking about with this economic eviction. That's your words, not, sir, that's your words, not my words.
The process of economic eviction is being accomplished via the illegal rentals.
Okay, I can't, that's not what you said, sir. What you said is they're going to raise your rents to where we can't afford them.
That's correct.
That is something the town board cannot do. What we can do, and what we will do, is enforce the rental code. And we've done that. The town attorney's office has met with the building department, they've met with Kingsley, they've met with you, and they're going to continue to do that until we flush out all the problems that are there. And I'm positive that we will. And if it wasn't for the gentleman, whether he chooses to speak or not, I mean, you guys should be applauding the gentleman in the room here because he brought it to my attention, and we have really spent, a fair amount of time in there. I'm not saying it's done, but I'm not saying we're done either.
Well, let me leave you this, and I'll let George step up and address you if he would like to. I personally feel that the town has failed egregiously in their responsibility to enforce the town code. All right, it's not up to me or anybody in this room to call you and code enforcement and report an illegal rental in that community. It's up to Kingsley Management Corporation to file a census with you that they prove to your code enforcement people that they actually looked at my license. They need to confirm to you how they verified who they're putting on the tax roll. That's a part of the code enforcement, is to demand that census. That's what we asked you at that meeting. We asked you to demand Kingsley to adhere to your code enforcement. It's not up to us to identify the violations. All right? Now, and I'll finish up. I'll let George speak or whatever you want to do at this point. Economic eviction is being accomplished, and I can show you where they've done it in 30 or 40 communities around the country via the absolute opening the floodgates to illegal sublet. What was the situation in 15 in the drug house across the street from there? Kingsley and you didn't even know that it was a double-level sublet. Nobody knew. Nobody in this community knows who's in that community. We have no idea, and unless the code enforcement actually does the census that's required by your town code, which you actually beefed up in 2003. You guys had problems with this in 2003. You rewrote the code laws to address this situation, and now you're telling us it's our responsibility.
Sir, what I'm saying, and you can finish up your final thought. Please. What I'm saying to you, first of all, I would like you to show, not right now, what this census is you're talking about, because I don't believe that's in the code. I don't believe the town attorney even understands what you're talking about with the census. But what I'm
to qualify for the HUD regulation.
What I'm saying to you, sir, is that the code enforcement is never going to be everywhere. It's just not. So if it's why we have things, community watches. It's why we do the things we do. To the neighborhood watches that the police, well, Councilman Wooten is sick today, and we didn't get to say that before earlier. But Councilman Wooten is sick today, actually might be in the hospital. The neighborhood watches are so critical to this town, this state, and this country. And if it's, we will take the burden and enforce the code, but we cannot do it without your help. We can't. And so what I'm asking you to do is you see, there's a whole big thing in the city. If you see something, say something. It's the same in this situation. If you see something, say something. We went after several units that had drugs in them. We went after several units that were abandoned. and we will continue to do it. But if there's something in the law that you think there's a census that we're supposed to do, I'm an attorney by trade, I'm not familiar with it. Hold on, John.
Okay.
The town attorney here,
But I think
is-
I can answer his question. Every year, to go along with what HUD says, for a senior community,
Yes.
everybody should be filling out a form saying who lives in the house, because they can only have a certain population under 55.
Correct, 20%.
So they have to send
I don't
in
think that gets
a
followed.
certification
Okay,
to get that, yes.
okay.
So I know what you're talking about,
And New York
right?
State requires that.
I
as
don't
well.
even know,
See?
John, we're not even positive that that is.
No, but that's what he's talking, I know what he's talking
New York State
about.
requires it as well.
Huh?
New York State requires that as well, and it has to be a bona fide census.
I
You
know.
can't just
I
go
don't know
Kingsley
that
saying,
that's a
oh
senior
yeah, Bobby
community
Smith lives in
from
here.
our
They have to
state.
show how they
Senior.
have to document how they verified who's living in there.
We don't know if it's a senior, because
No, I don't think it is a senior.
Say, is yours a senior community? Because I know the other ones, like Hubbard Avenue, is not a senior community.
It is a 55 and over?
Is it? Okay.
Just be, it's.
Okay.
Okay, so now I want to, that community predates our zoning code. It predates anything that would dictate a 55 and over community. I'm not, and I understand that it's sold to you as a 55 and older community. But I'm not positive, and we can research this, I'm not positive if the town of Riverhead looks at it as a 55 and over community because it predates our zoning. And Hubbard Avenue is a similar, also owned by Kingsley, a similar situation. Glenwood
any
Village, where you live right now, sir, you don't even live in this community. Glenwood Village, also not a mandatory 55 and over community. So people use those terms and they may not mean the same thing to everybody and to the lawyers. But if there's something that's not being done, we will do it. That anything that I know that we can do, we will do. You have my word.
All right, so then as a citizen and taxpayer of the town of Riverhead, I'm telling you that you have on your hands a company that intends to do great harm to this community.
And we're going to address that with every power that we have.
But you can't depend on us to report and identify these violations. How will you actually approach that? I'm telling you that.
And I'm telling you, in every community across the United States of America, probably the strongest form of protecting your communities is the Neighborhood Watch. We have a national night out 2 weeks ago. A national night out where we ask the communities to come out. We have the police department come out. They have block parties. The neighbors get to know each other. That, sir, if you think,
Sorry, Mr. Walters.
sir, do you honestly think that the code, if you think that the code enforcement, we have 2 code enforcement officers that work with a sergeant in the police department on all violations, and we have at full capacity 85 police officers who also can enforce the town code throughout the entire town. We need your help. You have to be part of this solution. I will do my part. This board will do its part. I guarantee you we will. But we need your help. And with Kingsley, we sat down, we met with them. I have no problem if people that live in the community, you don't live in the community, sir, but if people that live in the community would like to meet again in a private meeting with myself and the town attorney and the deputy supervisor and one of the council members, we'll do that. That's what we did several months ago. We will do that. And we will take care of whatever it is that we can. You have my word. So what I'll say is, I know you want to
I
speak.
just want 5 minutes.
You can speak for
I'll
5
make it
minutes.
quick. Thank you
And
very
if you
much.
want to coordinate that meeting, this gentleman, well, go ahead, speak, sir. We're so far. I just don't want to keep the residents
First,
out all night.
In your defense, you knocked on my door twice. Once in 11 and then on 13 for Unit 18.
Because I came back to see what we were doing.
Okay. Unit
Could you
18.
talk into the microphone, sir?
Unit 18, I placed 18 complaints about a dead raccoon, needles, hypodermic needles, people diving in the windows. It was unboarded for 4 months. The people that lived there had no utilities for several months, were throwing feces and urine out their window onto my property. I had to throw one of the kids that lived in the house down my stairs because he tried to come into my house. That's the first time I got to meet Freeborn and those guys.
When was that?
Oh, man.
When did you
Can
meet
you
Freeborn and
state-
the detectives
I
for
met-
the
I
first
met-
time?
The
I
town
met
clerk needs to
Freeborn.
get his information.
I'm
I'm sorry,
going to-
can you give your name and Hamlet, sir, for
Oh,
the town
my
clerk?
name is George Backey, and I live at Lakewood.
That's good enough.
Okay. And
You met the detectives for the first time when?
I met the detective for the first time. It was June 2013.
Not
Because they were being evicted.
That's,
Okay.
the detectives, we were in there long before June of 2013.
No. This is when I threw the guy down the stairs,
Right.
and this is the first time.
And what did we do with Unit 18?
Okay. Unit 18, it required Downs to go over to Kingsley Management and be told we're not boarding it up. Downs came over to the house and started to write it up. I was leaning in the window when John Peck leaned in the other window, grabbed the papers out of Downs' hand and says, all right, I'll board the damn thing up. Now, it only took me 1.5 years to get the damn thing boarded up.
But when was the first time you complained to the police department?
Oh,
Because you said 2011.
No, I sent in, the first time, 2011, there was a knock on my door, some gentleman was looking for some votes, and we discussed some things that were going on and some concerns
And
I
you
had.
kept me there a long time, sir, so we talked a long time.
And then he did it again in 2013, didn't learn his lesson. So,
He didn't learn.
so we discussed again, and I'm not gonna go into anything else
Right.
about
Well, we did come in and board the place up. It took,
It took people diving in and out of the windows. If you go by, my house still looks like crap. I just had somebody by there. I'm living in substandard. I never had any problem.
didn't somebody buy that unit next to you and they were fixing it up? They didn't fix it up?
He's in the middle of fixing it up.
Okay, good.
He's fixed the water, which had, how many leaks? 11 leaks. 11 leaks in it. He did the electricity. He's working on the inside. That was supposed to be pulled out, except Kingsley did a fugazi thing when it came to the eviction. He pulled the eviction order after the people had left.
Right, we'd have,
And
So it was
at-
easy to
at-
evict
at-
them because they weren't there.
well, he
Yeah,
sold the
but when they
unit.
did that, they didn't take legal possession of the house, so they couldn't board it up. So it sat there unboarded for 4 months, people diving in and out of the windows. And by the way, I don't know if everybody knows, I'm the gentleman that got stuck in the back of the hand with a hypodermic needle that was in the garbage, a used heroin needle.
But I'm trying to figure out why we did not know about this.
Well, I said.
That's what I'm trying to
We
figure
did,
out.
we did. Code enforcement was
knows,
working.
and getting back to, I've been talking to Albany. Albany has called this place up and spoke to a gentleman who's not sitting in the chair right now,
Oh,
the
Bob.
attorney, okay? And he said, I'll call you back in a short period of time, and never called back Albany. Albany sent you guys in Duffy, an email today, a very kind and nice email stating that me and him had a good relationship, and he wanted to know why he never called him back. There is a census that has to be taken. Albany does not know who lives on our houses. There's up to 15 people at any time in Unit 15. It could be a rapist, it could be a terrorist, it could be somebody that, okay, and you guys already know the plate numbers and all this work that went on down in there, and I'm not gonna go into anything. But the police department is doing a great job.
Maybe the police department's working on something. You ever think of that?
Oh, sure.
Folks?
Yeah, but I wanna know where the hell code was
I know, guys,
for
I
a
know.
year and a half.
There's
Well,
stuff
say-
going
yeah.
on there that is not appropriate to have conversations about from a police standpoint.
No, he's talking about code. Code should have bought that house up when after you complained the first time.
I have 18 complaints logged on Unit 18, which had nothing to do with drugs. It had to do with a house that had family living in it, that were squatters, that had no
Yes.
utilities, that were throwing urine
No,
and feces.
no, I
and stuff.
agree. What the police department's doing, I have nothing to do.
And
What I wanna know is, well, you people are here.
a lot
And
of these
and
people,
the supervisor keeps saying the board.
I'm saying that
But
we're.
this is the first time that, other than the email, that I'm hearing about this, because this would have been fixed last year. Because I think I would have been over the police department every single day, or the code every single day, to get that thing boarded up.
Okay, so, John, if you want to work on this, I have no problem. The code enforcement is in there. We got the place boarded up. It's a little more difficult with a mobile home unit, as you know, with evictions, because you have to drag the units out. It was not the easiest thing. You can talk to Officer Downs, but we have been in there with Officer Downs, with Nicole Bruckner, with the police department, with Bill Duffy, and we will, if you want to oversee that instead of Jill and myself, I have no problem doing that. I will, Councilman Donlevy
The
can be
problem
the
is
point of
that when
contact.
someone comes to town hall to speak to you,
Okay,
we all should know about it.
That's
That's
not-
what I'm saying.
John,
Because
that is-
they're our constituents, we're working for them, we should be able to know
John,
about it and help them.
I have
That's
no.
all I'm saying, that's all I'm
And what
saying.
I'm saying to you is, as you can take over the issue, because you think you can do it, and I believe in you, and you can take over the issue, and I will I will defer to my colleague who is on the police department, and he will be the point of contact for you from here on in.
Okay.
And I will
I'm willing to do that.
And I will answer the question, because sir, the reality is that every board member up here takes meetings and deals with constituent complaints and issues throughout the town.
When we
I-
hear about them,
I don't expect Councilwoman Giglio to tell me everything she's working on when a constituent complaint comes in. I trust that she works the issue out and resolves it to the betterment of the town.
What do we have
I
a board for then?
don't,
What do we
I
have a board
expect,
for
sir,
if you don't
sir,
communicate?
excuse me. If you want to speak at the end of the meeting, we're going to let you speak. We are doing everything we can. So we're way over time now. We have to go into our public
One more
meetings.
thing.
George, if you could just,
yeah, I'm done.
Go ahead.
You're finished. Thank you very much.
thank you.
My blog,
And-
I stand by my blog.
Okay,
and
thank you.
everything
And for the
that's
first speaker, thank you.
what
Okay.
is your blog? I'd like to read it.
All right.
in it. Lakewood Residents, all one word, .blogspot.com. And Albany is still waiting for an answer.
Okay, so,
16? 16.
What was that?
Yeah, house number 16?
I'm in 19.
19, okay.
I'll show you exactly where he is.
Okay. I know, because when they had
All
the
right.
sprinkler systems overall, I was down there working on that, trying to
Good.
get that
Can
going.
we get a motion?
So I
Can we
mean-
move forward now?
We can move forward.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the
All
town
right,
board meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of town board meeting of the August 5th, 2014, and a special town board meeting of August 7th, 2014. So move.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio,
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy,
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
The minutes are approved. And I'll just go into the agenda items. Under correspondence, a letter from Richard Luzzi, written comments concerning the proposed amendment to Chapter 108 zoning, commercial solar energy production system. That was a public hearing on the 5th of August. Under reports, tax receiver utility collection report from July, $478,818.08. Sewer district submitted their discharge monitoring report for July. And the 2013 Town of Riverhead Peconic Bay Community Preservation Fund financial statement was turned in. Also turned in from the Fire District, Wading River Fire District, was the 2013 financial statements. Under applications, and these are pending town board approval, parade and assembly permits, the Riverhead High School Homecoming Parade for October 18th, and Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center, a benefit walk, August 23rd. Under special events, the First Baptist Church Health, Wellness, and Fitness Fair, September 13th. Home Depot rug sale event, August 14th through the, October 6th. Riverhead Chamber of Commerce Tandem Skydive event, September 18th. And just as a reminder, our September 3rd Town Board meeting was switched from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, we have 5 public hearings. It is now 7:42. The first public hearing we're supposed to open at 7:10. This is the consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 101 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Article 3, Traffic Regulations, Section 101, Stop and Yield Intersections, Railroad Crossings, and Parking Fields. And
Want me to say something else?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, this here is at the intersection of Griffin Avenue and Lincoln Street. There's stop signs on on Lincoln Street, but there's only a caution light on Griffin Avenue. We've had a lot of accidents. We have a lot of attorneys' offices that are close to the intersection, that people coming in to see them. We have buses coming down Griffin Avenue. So to make it safer, we're going to make Griffin Avenue also a stop. So it'll be a 4-way stop there.
Okay, does anybody wish to be heard on that?
Good morning, good evening, whatever it is. Frank Eisler, 456 Griffin Avenue. I'm one of the law firms on that intersection. Anything that can be done to make that a safer intersection, we would urge you to do. A 4-way stop is an excellent idea. I would urge the board to, when doing the 4-way stop, adding those stop signs on Griffin, to also maintain the blinking lights at the intersection, turning the lights on Griffin to red.
Yes.
That, I think, will do a tremendous job, and we urge you to adopt the amendment.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard?
Charles Cuddy, I have an office at 445 Griffin Avenue, which is just one unit down from the intersection. Each year we witnessed a number of accidents at the site, and I want to particularly thank Councilman Dunleavy for bringing this to everyone's attention. It's interesting to me that there's a sign on that street that says 20 miles per hour because St. John's School also empties onto that street. When the traffic is there, I don't think anybody's going 20 miles an hour since the Model T Ford on that street. They come down at great volume. There's accidents because of I think, the misunderstanding of the public that they think that it is a 4-way stop sign because of the blinking light. And they come through from Lincoln Street, and there's an accident probably once every 3 or 4 months there. And it's a serious accident. And we really could use your help in having a stop sign there. I think I also speak for some other people. Jeff Butler, who has, with Charles Thomas, has the office on the northwest corner. I spoke to him today. He very much reiterates just what I have said to you. So everybody who's there is conversant with this. And I point out to you that there's also an IGHL on the northeast corner of that site. And people sometimes from that place stand on the corner just watching the traffic. It would be horrendous if there ever was an accident involving some of those people. So I would really hope that the board would seriously and very forcefully, quickly, put stop signs there on so all of it is a 4-way stop. And as Mr. Eisler just indicated, that you would also change the light to have red instead of yellow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard on the matter? Okay, not seeing anybody, we'll close the public portion of the hearing and leave it open until, what is today? Today's the 19th to the 29th of August in the town clerk's office at 4:30. Okay, the second public hearing was scheduled for 7:15. It is now 7:46. I'll open up the public hearing. This is a consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 12 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Coastal Erosion Hazard Areas. Bob, did you want to say anything?
Yes, this is actually the second time this was made it into the town board's packet. As those who watch the meetings know, a while back the board asked our code book folks to look at our code and suggest some changes. This is one of the things they looked at and brought to the attention that this particular chapter, Chapter 12, the next public hearing, Chapter 47, and Chapter 107, in each instance had different sort of rules as to how the CAC was supposed to act when they receive an application. The idea is to try and bring some uniformity when they're dealing with a coastal erosion management permit, or when they're dealing with an application under Chapter 47 or 107. It's one of the reasons this hearing was delayed is under our chapter, any amendment that's other than from the state DEC or from the planning the board as the administrators needs to be referred to them. In this case, we did in fact refer the proposed change in code to them. The comments back were that it was an acceptable change, and as I said, we're trying to bring some uniformity to Chapter 12, Chapter 47, and Chapter 107. It allows for, or provides that the CAC shall start their review within 30 days of any application under the CEM, Coastal Erosion Management, and of course provides for a period of time for the appeal, which in this case is, let's see, 60 days, I believe. So that's the sum and substance of the changes.
Does anybody wish to be heard on this matter?
I would just like to say, Bob, after what you just said, where it's the CAC acts upon any referral to them, this specifies within 30 days of referral from the planning department.
Right.
I think that it should say, or building department, or any other agency within the town, whether it be the engineering
planning department
department.
is the one who sees that takes these applications in.
Okay,
Because the Chapter 12 application is one that's reviewed by planning.
Okay, but I know of a recent application that was sent over for a house raising that was sent directly from the building department to the CAC, and it never went to the planning department. So I think that it should read building department or planning department.
Which one was that?
Was that a Chapter 12?
Schultz, 26 Beach
Yeah,
Road.
that went through the planning department.
No, it didn't.
I was intimately
It was a
involved
direct
with it.
recommendation from the senior building inspector to the CAC to
That would
raise
have
the
been
house.
that would have been under Chapter 107.
Yeah, but
not,
that,
not in Chapter
yeah.
12.
But
Okay.
that's,
All right.
yeah,
And
but
the
that is,
planning department was-
that's saying what you just want added in here.
Building.
We want this to go to the planning department, because they're the ones that have to approve everything, and so it should go to them before it goes to the building. The building department, only acts upon building requests,
Right.
and not for a claim. What happened with this one, and I beg to differ with you, is that this was supposed to be a very small improvement that the gentleman was making, under 50% of the house. When he started working on it, it ended up
50%
that
of
he
what?
had to do 90% of the house
50% of what? The
of
assessed value or the market value?
I think we're off.
of the structure,
let's stay on
50% of the structure.
We're
not the
talking about a
market value.
particular application,
Yeah,
not a
but that's
particular
what we're
code
talking
change.
about.
So
Okay, but I mean, that's, Councilwoman brought it up, so I just wanted to say that it was, that
It was referred-
it should go to the planning. This was a mistake, yes it was, because it was supposed to be a small renovation and ended up a major reservation.
Yeah, but
renovation.
but the referral came from the building department. When an application was made to raise the house, it told the applicant, you have to go to the CAC.
That was
So
by
they-
design, Councilwoman Giglio.
That was
The
by
That was
design?
by design, because the planning department was intimately involved in the entire process. Jeff Murphy is
He
the
said he's out
building
here.
and planning director. It was done to try to expedite the process, and it was actually done at the request of the homeowner so that it could go as quickly as possible.
Okay, but
So-
I think that it should just say, by referral of the from the planning department or the building department. Can we,
You
Well,
can't,
well,
and
again,
that
chapter
was-
12, chapter 12 is there's, the building department is not the agency that takes in a chapter 12. If you look at 107, which is the later hearing, it does do that. It refers to building department or planning board, depending upon where the application is appropriate to go to. And in that case, if it is a proposed activity or use that's related to construction on a residential lot, they actually refer to building department, then it comes from the building department to the CAC.
okay, so
So-
then do we need to amend chapter 107 also?
We're not on a chapter 107 here.
I'm not sure I understand. Chapter 107 does say both departments, as per your suggestion.
Okay, so
This is
it does,
in
it has
chapter
this
12, right?
exact language in chapter 107 that says that within 30 days they shall respond, and this whole section is also included in chapter 107? Why would we just make it chapter 28? Why wouldn't we have a hearing on chapter 107
Well,
also?
we may have to change
Councilman
chapter
Giglio.
107 to go along with this one
I'm a little
for the planning
bit lost.
department.
This was actually publicly, this was
They-
a resolution before us, probably no less than 3 times. We actually, I think we go to public hearing and adjourn it. If you
We
want
had it in
to-
the packet and we withdrew it.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
but since that time,
if you want
a
to,
referral has been made from the building department to the planning department
se-
on a CAC
I don't-
application.
maybe you're not on a separate code issue under a separate chapter of the code, under 107, not chapter 12. We're
So
here
that-
before a chapter 12
Okay,
hearing.
so that revision to the code with the same conditions that they'll receive a denial within 30 days or an approval or,
Well,
well,
this
it's
code is,
forthcoming? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know, you're part of
this
code
code is
revision.
saying that they have to get back to the applicant within 30 days.
Right. Only in chapter
The
28.
old code said they had to get the approval within 62 days. Sometimes you get back to the applicant, and it takes the applicant 20 days to get back to you, so that stops the 60 days at that point until the application gets back to you, corrected to what you need done to it.
Okay, so chapter 107, Bob, will get a code revision shortly that will mimic this code for chapter 107 for referrals from building and planning?
Just to be clear.
See, I don't know what chapter 107
There's 3 public hearings that are on today.
Yes.
12, chapter 12, chapter 47, and chapter 107. In each instance, they have been amended to include the verbiage that provides that they shall commence review within 30 days after referral or receipt of the application from the applicable department that's charged with initially taking in the application. The verbiage that you see in the CAC resolution is same that you'll see in the resolution which is being, or the code change that's being proposed in chapter 47 at section 4724C. And it's the same language that's being suggested in section 107-7, subsection B. The concept being that we're trying to make all 3 uniform.
Okay, are there any other more comments on chapter 12? No? Okay, I'm going to close the public portion of this, and Councilman Giglio, if you'd like to change this, you can do it in your code revision committee, or you can make a written comment to the town clerk by August 29th at 4:30 p.m. All right, next public hearing is scheduled for 7:20. It is now 7:55. This is a consideration of a proposed local law to amend Chapter 47 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Bays and Creeks. Article 3, General Provisions. Bob, would you like to talk about this?
Well, as I noted in the prior comments on the hearing with regard to Chapter 12, again, this was something that was brought to the town's attention that we had in the code with regard to CAC jurisdiction, some inconsistencies. The proposals are in short to try and bring all 3 articles or all 3 chapters into uniformity. As with the prior change, I guess the operative language is that within 30 days of referral from the planning department, the CAC shall commence review. They're charged with undertaking that. There are some other cleanups in subsection B of 47-24. And again, I know the concept here was to try and take this out of the sequence with respect to general codes changing over our code book. The idea was to try and move this forward a little bit and not do this as part of the townwide code sweep that general code is working on. And there was a directive to get this on and have it heard.
Who made the directive?
Well, not a directive.
Yeah, this is.
I shouldn't say directive. It was
this code-
suggested at a work
This code is
session
making
that
the
we do it.
planning department the agency to receive the application.
Yeah, we all talked about this a couple
This was
times.
discussed in work session and it was
Just
brought
commence
forward
review
for
within
work
30
session.
days of
Multiple
referral from-
times.
Directive was the wrong word.
Right, but since we've discussed it in work session, applications have come forth that have gone directly from the building department to the CAC where the planning department was not involved.
That's not
Well,
accurate.
we haven't changed the code yet.
Just because you keep
We'll
saying
just,
it
we'll
doesn't
just
make
have a
it
hearing to
accurate.
change the
I can
code.
prove it.
Just to be clear.
I can prove it.
There are instances where someone comes in and files a building permit, and the building permit involves property that's within a freshwater or a tidal wetland. In that instance, the building department is the department that would be vested with authority to take the application in,
And they
They
send it right over to the CAC.
which is what they, which is, again, that's the process. I'm not sure how that's changed, because that's a 107 application, that's, okay, but are you suggesting that 47 should also have a referral directed from the building department?
The
If
building
they
and the
make
planning
application to the
department.
building department, yes.
This here shall says in C, the Conservation Advisory Council shall commence review within 30 days of referral from the planning department.
Right?
So the building department should contact the planning department, and the planning department should give it to the CAC.
It doesn't always go that way, and that's what Bob just said. If they make a department for a building, if they make an application for a building permit, and it doesn't require planning department approval, it goes as a recommendation from the building department to make application to the CAC and get a permit from the CAC. It doesn't necessarily constitute an application to the planning department. So that's all I'm saying, is just add from either the building department or the planning department to the CAC, instead of just saying from the planning department to the CAC. It's very simple. I don't know why it's such a problem.
I don't know, because we've discussed this at least three
Yeah,
times in work
and
session.
it just became a
and
problem 2 weeks ago when an
that's-
application was made.
That's not
Yeah.
really accurate.
Well, this
no.
says that they have to
can
receive an
prove it.
application from the planning department. That's what
Well,
the,
didn't we sort of merge building and planning department
We did.
under Jeff Murphy
Yes,
anyway? So
yes.
is it a difference? It
but
makes
this,
no difference.
but it just says they have to give it, the building department will have to give it to the planning department, the planning department would have to submit it to the CAC.
Okay, so you're adding another step where they don't need planning department.
Okay, so you know what? Why don't we not even open the next public hearing? We'll send it back to your code revision
No,
committee.
I'm just
and-
adding a comment to the public hearing, and I want the board to consider it, and if you don't want to consider it,
But
it
the-
doesn't have to go back to you. We
but
can
the-
adopt it the way it is, but just add a referral from the planning department or the building department. It's so
can't-
simple.
No, you
It's
can't,
not.
because now you have,
Councilman
this is
Giglio,
what,
we
this
had
is
to
what messed us up the last
refer
time.
this to the DEC.
Do
Or
you
chapter
think,
12, chapter
do you
12
think
did.
that it's really going, it's that substantial of a change?
Yes.
Whether it's a referral from the planning department or the planning department and the building department, do you think that it's that substantial of a change that it constitutes another public hearing? I don't. I'd like a legal opinion, Bob.
Okay.
I-
The town attorney is not going to render
well, I guess,
verbal
no.
legal opinions.
Put it in writing, we have 10 days, or you can adopt it the way it is.
The problem,
It's very
but
simple.
the problem is, that the mistake that we
This,
had.
this is doing nothing to change the current referral process. There's no changes in the code that say that
That's
what
right.
would otherwise have been a referral from the building department to the CAC is being changed. What would otherwise have been a referral from the planning department to the CAC is being changed. That is unaffected by these code changes. The code changes that are before you are dealing with the question of how quickly or what timetable the
That's
CAC must
correct.
act. So the issues that are being brought up are, I guess, I'm trying to understand.
Bob, I
you know.
beg to differ with you, because it says here, the planning department acting on behalf of the board or department vested with the authority to render a decision to approve with conditions, or deny the application, shall refer all applications. All right, so it's the planning department that's referred all the applications to the CAC. If the building department is the one who gives the approval, they have to give it to the planning department to the CAC, and then it will go back with conditions of approval or denial to the building department.
You're referring to what section? B?
I'm referring to
47-24.
1075,
Oh.
Yeah.
It says the same thing in
Right.
47-24.
say,
In 47, in the subsequent hearings, which we'll get to next, I guess. I've made my comments on this hearing. We can move on.
Okay, does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Not hearing anybody, I'll close the public comment portion and leave it open for written comment till August 29th at 4:30 in the Riverhead Town Clerk's office. 7:25, the next public hearing was scheduled for 7:25. It is now 8:02. I'll open the public hearing entitled "The Consideration of a Proposed Local Law to Amend Chapter 107 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Freshwater Wetlands." Bob, would you like to?
I'm afraid to. This is just a hearing that was set for 7:25. It's to amend Chapter 107 and applications for a permit. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go through each section, read them verbatim, what the changes are. Again, it's
we're just trying to change it to meet everything else that we've doing, to make it uniform. Is that correct?
well, I mean, it's the review period is again the commencement within 30 days
Right.
of referral. Planning department is the referral agency. I guess the operative paragraph, if you were to say, would be 107.7 subsection B, which has been amended to provide for that. It also says that the CAC shall issue their report and recommendation within 60 days from the initial referral. I guess I'm a little bit
Okay.
unsure what else we can do. I mean, it's
No, that, you've said enough, and I've read it, the board's read it. Does anybody wish to be heard on this public hearing?
I would just say that it should say by the planning department and the building department, and then I'll be happy.
Okay.
Any referral by the planning department and building department.
Which have
And
been
or.
merged under the director.
They have not been merged. They have one person that's overseeing both departments. The departments have not been merged. The building department has its own set of rules that they follow, and the planning department has their own set of rules that they follow. There's one person that oversees both departments that doesn't oversee all the referrals that go out.
Well, things have to
So if
change.
we're gonna codify it, then we should codify it, because if that one person is no longer here, then the building department should be able to refer to the CAC without having to go through another step of going through the planning department, so the planning department can refer it to the CAC.
But we have one organization to go to find out if it was referred, and that's the planning department. You want to have two, so I
Just
have
because
to.
it's in that office
If
doesn't
someone
mean
asks
that
me a
it'll,
question, I go to planning, then I have to go over to the building
because
department.
it's in that office.
What?
Because we don't have enough space. It's all in one office.
Well, I just think we should have one
I just wish 6 months ago,
department.
6 months ago when we
Give
brought
them
this
referral.
forward, that the board would have agreed with what we were doing.
Again, I repeat, this is a problem that just arose 2 weeks ago, where the building department made a referral to the CAC, and the CAC is reviewing it by a request of the building department, not the planning department.
That was a
So I just
request of
say-
the applicant.
Well, the
That
building department did not send it to the planning department, and the
process-
planning
Well,
department
yeah,
sent it to the
because if that's the
CAC.
way the old code was written. Now we're changing it, so it goes to the planning department,
And that's-
and they are responsible for
It's
it.
so simple.
And the
Just
Hunter
add by referral
Schultz-
from the planning department or the building department to the CAC. It's very simple.
And I'm going to refer everything right back to code revision. and I'm going to let code revision,
I'm ready to adopt it with the change that's made that
but you
says
have
for
to
the
go
building department.
back to public
I
hearing.
disagree with you.
Since you're not the town attorney,
That's why I asked for a legal opinion. It doesn't have to be right now. I can get it by email within the next 2 weeks before we have to adopt
So
it.
you want to change in all three amendments?
Yeah.
You don't want it just in 107?
Nope, I wanted all three.
You want all
By a
three?
referral from the planning department
And
or
all
the
three-
building
and all three
department.
not- okay.
Yeah. Cut out the step of the planning department. The building department shouldn't have to refer it to the planning department, so the planning department can refer it to the CAC.
So we want to go back to code revision?
No, I don't think it's necessary, but I'm waiting for a
Well,
legal
if we're
opinion
not
from
gonna
our
get
town
the-
attorney.
I
before
Because we don't make
next
the
step.
changes.
I don't think
I
both
kinda think
departments
it's-
should be involved in it. I think one department, so everybody knows they have to go to the planning. The
think
building department knows that they have to send it over to the planning, so planning give it to CAC. It takes a
So-
day.
And you know what,
It's not
as a-
holding anything
And
up
you know what, John?
other
It
than
could
a
hold
day.
it up.
John, with all due respect, it could be longer than a day. And with all due respect, when it comes to public safety, and it comes to police, and it comes to emergency services, I defer to you. When it comes to land use and policies and procedures as far as what you have to file, I'm the land use person, and I respectfully request that you defer it to me.
Okay. But I have my, do have my opinion.
under
Okay.
that,
So-
under that's,
Freedom
under,
of speech,
under that,
Constitution.
I want to defer to the experts. So what we're going to do is put this back in code revision.
Right.
And we're going to have the planning director and the director of building and planning come to code revision and have them talk to code revision and figure out if what Councilwoman Giglio is saying needs to be done, or are there other unintended consequences. That is my request.
I think it's a waste of time and money, but if
Well,
that's what you request,
That's what I
Wait a minute,
request,
can I
because
ask
I
you-
want to
wait.
defer to the experts,
Well,
the
can I ask
building
you
and
a
planning
question now?
department.
You're code revision liaison.
yes?
Why is the town board receiving these now?
This didn't come through code revision.
Just did not come through code
No,
revision?
it didn't. It came through work session. It never came through code revision.
It's been on work
I
session.
think
It
it goes
came
back to
from
code
Anne
revision.
Marie to work
Okay,
session,
so
and
then
it wasn't
I
on
would
the.
say give it back to
Code
code
revision
revision
and let
and
them.
let them talk
I
to
don't
the
think it's
planning
necessary.
department and
No,
everybody
but what's
else.
your biggest concern? That's another delay, and I get it.
Yeah.
It's another
Yeah,
bureaucracy
why not
step.
just add either
that makes
from the
sense.
planning department or building
Right.
department
Yes.
Just
or.
another layer of delay,
I,
It is.
I
but
understand
it's
that,
very rare that will happen.
but it would be smart, wouldn't you agree, to talk to the building and planning folks to see if the change is warranted, because this code was
Let's get their
vetted
opinions,
through
yeah.
them. Exactly.
Let's get their opinion on it. I think go back to
So
code.
I'll-
Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to do that within the next 2 weeks, and we'll have a legal opinion from Bob as to whether or not we can add building department to this, and we'll be able to adopt
Okay,
it
so we
with the
could,
change.
you wanna keep this,
I'm going to
Yeah,
close.
absolutely.
okay,
Well, how you gonna do
I'm
that? You know what
deferring
code
to
revision
you.
says?
You might as
You
well.
wanna keep this?
We'll
You
put
might
a
as
code
well-
revision if you want.
You might as well adopt it the way it is now, because we're gonna have to publish and post it anyway if
Yeah.
you're not going to add building department. And then we'll go to a public hearing to add building department later, and
It has to go back to the DEC. These
Why does it-
codes have to go to.
Chapter 12
we're
does.
more
Chapter 12.
strict than the
Chapter
DEC.
12.
The
Chapter
DEC
12 has
says
to be referred back.
everything within 100 feet, we say everything within 150 feet. We're more strict than the
I
DEC.
apologize, chapter 12 has to go back to the DEC.
Well, why don't we, let's
I'm
do this.
closing. Does anybody
Let's
else
close
wish
the
to
hearing.
or do you want
We'll
to just listen
adopt
to us
this, and if
argue?
it has to be changed,
Would
we
you be
will then
satisfied
change
just
it,
changing 107?
right? But let's,
Just 107
let's
you
not,
good?
you wanna,
Would you be
this is
satisfied
what
with
happens, everything
I
gets,
don't know. Well,
Talk about
I
it.
can't
We
even
just
talk
understand.
about it for a year and then we
That
forget
one
about
has
it
to
and
go
don't
back
do
to
it.
the
I can't even understand why we're here, but, okay,
107, you want to make
we'll
one?
see.
I'm going to close the public comment portion. I'm going to leave it open for written comment until the 29th of August. I would like, Councilwoman Giglio, if you could put this on your agenda for code revision, maybe between now and the 29th, and speak to the experts, that being Rick Hanley and Jeff Murphy, and anybody else that needs to be spoken to see whether this change is something that needs to be made in all three sections. And then you can, Bob is in that meeting. You
I
can-
should also add that the CAC, a member of the CAC, the chairman, should come in and find out where they want the referrals to come from.
That's fine if we can get somebody, they only work a few
Yes.
hours.
They're advisory, but yes.
All right? Okay.
Um, The final public hearing was scheduled for 7:30. It is now 8:11. This is the consideration of an appeal by Day and Night Taxi and Limo Incorporated for the revocation of the taxi and business license. Bob?
Yeah, this is, under our code, the town clerk is allowed to take action and revoke an operator's permit where there's grounds to believe that a revocation is appropriate. In this particular case, due to allegations of an individual not being a hack operator and other issues, the town clerk did issue a letter which revoked the operating license of Day and Night Taxi Limo Services, Inc. They did file an appeal. They asked that the town board consider lifting the appeal. I believe they have counsel representing them today. I do want to note and make this part of the record that at about 4:25, 4:30 this afternoon, I was presented with certain documents which I believe counsel will not have any objection coming into evidence. One is a bill of sale agreement dated June 29th, 2014, which shows that at that time the Day and Night Taxi Limo Services was sold by individuals to the current owners of Day and Night Taxi Limo Services. I would ask that that be made part of the record.
All right, why don't we bring up counsel?
Okay.
I'm assuming?
Yep.
Counsel, if you would state your name and representation for the record, that would be wonderful.
Certainly, thank you. Anthony Palumbo of the law firm Palumbo & Associates, 13235 Main Road, Mattatuck, for Mr. Mohammed Gondal. Good evening, folks. How are you?
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's nice to be part of the public to make some comments. Just kidding. I have a few more items as well, Mr. Kaczkevich.
Yeah, I have a couple too. I have the
Well,
the
let's
actual-
start with the first one.
Yeah.
What was the
the
date,
first
bill of
one.
sale?
That was June 29th. And I think it'll be relevant, and I'm sure council will explain why it's pertinent to the discussion today.
All right, sorry, I mean, this is not a formal evidentiary proceeding. Was there any objection, Mr. Palumbo?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
we'll enter that. Let's go through Bob's and we'll
And-
go through yours, so.
And then I have a second, which is the copy of the taxi cab business license that was issued on July 9th, 2014, to the purchaser, Day and Night Taxi and Limo, Inc., with the new address, 12700 Main Road, Mattatuck. And that was issued on July 9th. I also have a copy of a certificate of incorporation,
What was the date of that? I'm sorry.
July 9th.
July 9th.
So the sale was on June 29th, and he registered the new business on July 9th
With the town of Riverhead.
with the town of Riverhead. I also have as an exhibit a certificate of incorporation, which is the document issued to Day and Night Taxi Limo Services. And that was just the one page of same.
And what's the date on that?
I don't have a date. I can tell you that it was filed on, what happened was that, I think he'll explain, counsel explained that the corporation was purchased by the new buyer through purchase of shares. The corporation continued to exist, but I would like to take notice of the record that the date of the corporation, when it was filed, was August 15th of 2013. And the filer is consistent with the individual who sold the business to the current operator, Mohammed Gondal.
Who is the filer?
The prior owner listed with the New York State Division of Corporation State Records, and that's the filing receipt,
How do you
was
spell that?
Atif Bashir.
Spell that too.
A-T-I-F,
Say it again, I'm sorry.
A-T-I-F, B-A-S-H-I-R.
Can
And
I
that-
ask you a question?
Yep,
What date did they take control?
June 29th is when the sale took place. I believe that's going to be the testimony that you'll hear today.
If I may just interject.
Please do, we
It's,
do that freely here.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
July 9th was the actual closing date, and I believe that was indicated on the the permit to operate. I believe it was also issued the same day they closed.
That's right. I think I got the bill of sale agreement on the face page is June 29th,
Okay,
though.
very good.
29th was the date of the bill, I guess the bill of
Signature.
sale, the contract was entered into.
Oh, okay.
But the actual asset transfer and license wasn't issued, I believe, until July 9th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you represent them on the closing of this?
I did not. And that may have led to some confusion by Mr. Gundall. I found out from the town attorney that these items were provided at 4:30 today, so we apologize for the short notice. This appeal was filed pro se, and I did appear on behalf of Mr. Gundall regarding a violation that was issued in the Justice Court.
How do you spell Mr. Gondal's name?
Mohammed, Mohammad, Gondal, Gondal.
Okay.
And what was the date of suspension?
It may have been, I believe it was retroactive to July 13th, 4 days after the owner took possession.
Is that when we suspended his license, July?
I believe that was when the letter issued. That's correct.
I'm sorry, the 15th. There was an
15th.
incident on the 13th that led to this.
So it was 6 days, it was 6 days after he took control.
Correct.
Okay.
If I may provide, if I could approach the dais, I have 3 items, which are essentially a letter that was filed that Mr. Gundal provided to the clerk, a driver's license for Mr. Iqbal, Iqbal, Safdar is his last name, as well as a taxi cab operator's permit from the town of Riverhead for Mr. Iqbal.
So, okay, go ahead.
Please.
Just very briefly, as you can see from the documentary evidence, Mr. Gondal purchased this taxi cab company and went into operation on July 9th. 4 days later, there was an incident. There was an accident with a driver that he unfortunately took him at his word that he possessed a Class E license, which is a valid license to operate a taxi cab. There is a permit for 4 separate cabs. Now, Mr. Gondal has the vernacular is a hack license, as does Iqbal, whose information I just passed up. So after having very pointed conversations with Mr. Gondal about the due diligence that's required, by way of mitigation, we'd like to present to the board, by way of his appeal, since he's a new owner, he's never operated a cab company before. Instead of just an immediate revocation, that we mitigate the situation to an extent that since he has two licensed drivers, that if the board would consider reissuing the, or pulling the revocation and modifying the permit to allow 2 taxi cabs to operate, with the understanding that this would be, of course, an opportunity, one benefit of the doubt, so to speak.
How many cabs does he have?
How many actual vehicles? 4.
But he only has 2 drivers
Correct.
at the present time. What happens if he gets 2 more drivers?
You'd have to come back and make a new application for a new permit.
So, this was a partnership prior to July 9th of 2014, correct? And you said they bought out one of the partners, the bad partner that go...
No.
Why don't he stand up next to you, unless he can tell you, if you don't know the answer, he can tell you what the answer is. Okay? Thank you.
Do you want us to swear him in? Bob, why don't you swear Mr. Gondal in?
Mr. Gondal, do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is going to be the truth, the whole truth?
Yes.
But Mr. Gondal, please don't answer any questions that you don't ask your attorney first, which is to answer the question.
Okay?
I try my best.
Okay.
May I ask?
Yeah, if you could do the inquiry.
Well, first and foremost, the entity that's in question you presented, just to clarify that, the entity that's the operative entity is known as Day and Night Taxi Limo Services, Inc., is that correct?
Yes.
And that is a New York State corporation, correct?
Yes.
Now, prior to acquiring the assets or the shares of Day and Night Taxi Limo Services, Inc., the New York State corporation, did you have an ownership interest in that corporation before you purchased it on June 29th or July 9th?
I have ownership with that?
Did you own it prior to that time?
No.
Okay. Were you a partner of Bashir or any of the individuals who owned
No.
the corporation?
No.
Okay. And the corporation is still a valid corporation in the state of New York?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with regard to the operator, could you state in your own words what you did or what you didn't do to verify his operator's license status?
Yes, I purchased the business July 29th, or June 29th. Okay. And we didn't close until I took over July 9th. Okay. I maybe get lazy. I didn't have enough time to check his license, but I asked him if he had license because he was been driving with the same company. And I have Iqbal and him, and then myself.
All right, so I'm gonna stop you there. Other than Iqbal, the other party, and yourself, does anybody else, or did anybody else operate the taxi after you purchased it, or around the time of July 9th, 2014? It was just 3 operators?
It was 3 operators,
Okay.
and then my other friend, he was helping us, but he did apply because Nicole, she told us we give you enough time to be apply 4th license.
Does that
And
person, that person was operating with a license or did not have
With
a
license.
Okay.
So
And what's that person's name? What's that person's name, the other party that you said, the 4th party?
Riasat Ali,
Spell that, please.
R-A-I-S-T, last name Ali, A-L-I.
Okay, and he no longer works for you?
No, he's also partner with me. Is
Okay.
there. Because then we purchased, I mentioned there, his partner, and he have ready to get license.
Okay.
And he came to town board, but meantime we get suspension. They didn't took his application because we don't have no more business.
Okay.
But he's a partner of yours.
He's a new partner.
A
We
new
purchased from the old partner.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think what he's trying to indicate is that he had applied for the operator's permit, but it was denied in light of the revocation.
Right.
So I suspect he will be coming back.
That's what I'm trying to figure out with respect to the
Right.
the issue with the 2 operators and the 2 vehicles.
And I do think, Mr. Kavitz, I believe that the 2 cars would suffice, because Mr. Gondal has been in this community for about 25 years. He owns a convenience store about 200 yards from here, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's really his primary business. So with the 3 operators and 2 cars, I think he'd be willing to make do with that.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna bring his other car until I get his hack license or anybody have real documents with abstract and everything. This was my first chance to operate this kind of business, and I have no experience. And I took his word, whatever he said. And because reason he was been driving for them because we gave him business and everything. And I hoping you guys give me chance to be a do more stuff for this community. And whole my record is right here, 24 years, living is right 200 yards from here.
What's your other business, sir?
Convenience store,
Where? What's the name of it?
Village Grocery.
Okay. How many shareholders are in this corporation?
Which one?
The
one
the
day
one
and
that's
night
the
taxi
subject
cab.
of today's hearing, Day and
2.
Night Taxi Limo Services.
2.
And who are those shareholders?
Where's he? Riasat Ali? Right.
Mr. Ali?
They're
Oh,
the
that's
2.
Mr. Ali?
They're the 2 who. So the 2 individuals who are reflected in the bill of sale are
Yes.
the 2 shareholders.
Yes, sir.
There's nobody else who has a shareholder's interest.
No, sir.
No other officers, no other directors.
No, sir.
Okay.
And the other the person you bought it from is not a shareholder anymore?
No, there was two.
And you were not a shareholder when that gentleman ran that company? I think that's what you testified to. You had no...
No interest.
And Mr. Ali didn't have an interest prior to June 29th. So you weren't one of the partners of Day and Night Taxi? Neither one of you were, ever? You just bought it new, June 29th?
And now, Mr. Ali,
Well, just to be clear, did you go to contract on June 29th and close on July 9th? I'm a little unclear on that sequence.
No,
Because the bill of sale, again, the document that you provided to me says June 29th, 2014 is the bill of sale agreement. And it's your testimony that you actually closed and transferred monies on July 9th?
we did close and we did transfer money, but we didn't took over until his 9th.
And can you explain why?
the money-
Can you clarify that? What happened?
Because it was an insurance problem, and they have to pay because they was collecting money, and I now was not collecting. I did collect the money. Then his town gave me license, and I start collecting money.
Did you have to transfer the insurance, is that what it was? Was there anything?
No, because we have to let them know as the new owners.
And the vehicle, since you purchased it in July 9th, all the vehicles have been insured?
Yes, sir.
Are they currently insured?
Yes, sir.
And
now, Mr. Ali, you're the one that's gonna go for your license? Is he the gentleman that?
Yeah.
I went for fingerprinting, and I also went for drug
Oh,
test.
oh,
And
so
after
you-
that was suspended.
Just raise your hand, please swear, Mr.
Yeah.
Ali.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is going to be truth, the whole truth, and so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, you're the gentleman that's gonna get the hack license.
Yes, sir, it's in process. I
Yeah,
went for the
okay.
fingerprinting.
No, that's all I wanted,
And,
yeah.
I went for the drug test also.
He doesn't have one now.
No.
This one, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're familiar with our code, you understand the drug testing requirements, the other requirements of our code. And I understand the predicament you're in, but I think your testimony is that this gentleman that committed this violation was employed by you at that time.
Yes, I was from the previous owner. He was operating that vehicle, so we didn't have much chance to, verify. And I think this is our mistake, but I think
It was a very big mistake.
yes, sir. I understand.
All right, I don't have any other questions. I don't want to, does
I don't have
anybody else
any.
have any other questions?
I don't have any.
Bob, are you satisfied?
All of your drivers right now, the two that you have, are all licensed and drug tested and current?
Yes.
And you're in the process of getting licensed and drug tested and current?
Well,
If I could just.
I just want to be clear because I understand Mr. Gondal surrendered his hack license. So he surrendered that in addition to surrendering the business license at the time he was notified by the town. Is that correct, Mr.
Yes.
Gondal? Okay.
Why?
He didn't need to, but he did, and that's part of the concern. He wanted to show that he was acting in good. I think you did that because you wanted to show your good faith compliance with the
Of course.
with the letter, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Right, and then he wouldn't be driving,
Correct.
yes.
Okay, so unless there's, are you satisfied?
I'm satisfied.
I think what we're gonna do is, hold the case in abeyance so we can speak about it in executive session, and then we will contact, Mr. Palumbo and, let you know what we've determined. Do you wanna add anything else, Mr. Palumbo?
Just to reiterate that the vehicle that was involved in the accident with this other individual was of course, it was insured. So there's liability insurance in the event that there are any injuries or property damage, they'll be covered by insurance. And if there's any civil ramifications, that's all dealt with.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we'll hold the case in abeyance.
I do have a
Oh,
question.
go.
Are there two particular vehicles that you would look to put on the road? If the board were to entertain your appeal and issue or lift the revocation with conditions, are there two particular vehicles that you would prefer to put on the road? And would you also be willing to adhere to a condition that it would only be yourself and Iqbar originally operating?
Yes. I like to do with the two.
Which
one is-
two? Are there particular?
I really, it's a Dodge 2006, And the other one is also Dodge, but that's, I'm confused, either 5 or either 6.
Okay.
So that is, I can bring the all paperwork,
Okay.
or they have it already.
All right.
And then I can mark is these 2 I want on road.
Okay.
Okay.
And then is 3rd license, we get it, we're gonna apply for 3rd and 4th. Doesn't matter even I'm paying insurance, or that's not point.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll hold it in abeyance. We'll speak in executive session on the matter Thursday, and we'll, Mr. Palumbo, we'll let you know what the decision of the board is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Comments on public hearings. Does anybody wish to be heard on public hearings? Resolutions, rather.
Sal Mastropolo,
How you doing,
Calverton.
Sal?
Resolution 15.
Yes.
Is there any reason why you chose 2 years? Why not make it 5 and put the clause in there that there's no penalty if you pay it up, if you pay it early?
Yeah, there's no prepayment penalty in it.
But
Oh.
there's an expense if you don't do anything in 2 years and you have to do it again, then you're going to incur a cost again.
There's a $25,000 mortgage commitment fee, that's it, and it's not really a line of credit, but that's, that you can't just draw down on it like a line of credit on your house, but that's the way it'll be, for all intents and purposes, that's what it would look like. It'd be the commitment fee, the credit line would be open. Should we need to draw down on it for the operational expenses, cover CDA expenses or other things, we'd be able to. If we didn't, the only expense would be the original commitment fee.
No, but my question is, let's say you don't draw down on it in the first 2 years because the subdivision doesn't go or the sales don't happen and you don't use the money, okay? Basically, it's a 2-year commitment. You have to pay it off. And then if you want the money, you're going to have to go back again. Why not just make it 5 years or 10 years? Okay, you have a no penalty clause in there. Okay, so if you do use it in 2 years and you pay it back, there's no penalty. But if you don't use it in 2 years, at least you have a longer period of time to use it without having to re-incur expenses.
I think the bank was comfortable with 2 years, and what we're going to be looking to is a 3-year repayment. I don't know if the bank was comfortable with longer. We didn't ask for longer.
Yeah, we had some discussion about maybe extending to 3.
Yeah, we didn't ask for
We had
longer from the
some
bank
issues.
because,
Well, I would think it would be in the town's benefit to ask for it for longer rather than a 2-year period, since there's no penalty for early payment.
I agree with you.
yeah, they may be willing to do it. We just, Sal,
Well, given the,
it's a strange place to be in to be doing this, so,
yeah, I know. Given our budget concerns, I would think we'd be looking to save money over the long haul.
Yes.
And by extending the period from 2 to 5 or 2 to 10, you would save money.
I don't think they would do that. I don't think they would do that, truthfully.
Just a comment.
What else you got?
Yeah, I got a couple more.
See, Sal, the bank's there to make money, not to,
Of course, that's why they want 2 years.
Yes, so I've been
That's
a banker
stupid.
for 18 years, so I know, what goes on.
Resolution 593. Is that date June 19, 2013 correct, or should it be 2014? I mean, it's over a year that he's been retired, but he never.
Yes, that's correct, Sean.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm assuming he's working and he's retired, so he's drawing.
Well, the
He's
state,
double dipping.
what the state did is they sent the notification, I love email, to an email account of an employee that no longer is in this department, so we never got notification.
Sounds like stuff that goes on in the school board all the time.
Yeah.
They retire and then they collect $800 a day. Resolution 596. 596, these comments are relative to 596 and 597. Those two resolutions account for $10,800, and that's just the full brochure. Okay?
I'm sorry, what was the other one?
596 and 597, they're two
Right.
budget adjustments for $10,800 for the full brochure. I don't know how many we print and mail. That's only the printing cost. Then you have to add the mailing costs. It comes in my mail. I glance at it, and it goes in the garbage. So it goes in the waste stream.
Why are we printing all of these and mailing them to every resident?
We did a trial for 1 or 2 semesters, if you will, by email, and the participation in our rec programs dropped like a brick.
Did we do email or did we put it on the web?
We did email and put it on the web. Did both.
Well, the problem is, Sal, that everybody does not have an email, and a lot of people don't have computers, so they don't go on the web.
And this is
To notify,
self-funded.
and I've been told by people that they're glad to get this because it shows the trips they have, especially for the older people, and for the younger people, the dates that things are happening. So, you know,
Do we put it out
they
for
like
bid?
this. So
Do we
we're
put the
trying to
printing
get
out for
every
bid?
resident or every property owner notified that the Recreation Department does these programs, and everybody is welcome to come.
Yeah, so we follow the procurement policy. Actually, didn't we do something with the new printing?
We did, we went out for a printing bid.
So yes, but the point is, with the other issue, the other thought is, Sal, that 06 account is self-funding, so the programs pay for the brochure. So when his attendance went down, the money for the brochure went down. I mean, he said it was pretty catastrophic, so.
Resolution 602. 602 is a Chapter 90 application for endless summer championship car shows. There was an earlier resolution for Chapter 90 application, which had a mention of $192 administration fee for police and the use of police cars.
Right. What's happened is we're trying to keep track of when police cars are being used. They had no record of this when police cars or TCOs being used for traffic control. There is obviously there's a traffic light. It's splish splash. It works pretty well depending on your interpretation of traffic to move the cars in and out of splish splash, but they did not have a record for last year of using a TCO, so it's kind of difficult for us to charge them for something. So what we're trying to do is keep detailed records, and when people come back, we know cost will be incurred, and eventually the town board, wait till people get the cost of the showmobile. Eventually the town board's going to have to pass a policy that these costs are directly passed on, and we're approaching that. What I didn't want to do, honestly, was nickel and dime everybody to death and hidden fees and taxes everywhere, but we're there, folks. And so we will, if this comes back next year and we use TCOs, they will pay for it.
Yeah, don't forget, Sal, there's a traffic light. It's not like Splish Splash that they get an onslaught of customers at one time, like Splish Splash does. If you go past Splish Splash at 10 o'clock in the morning, that traffic's backed up.
All the way to Edwards Avenue the other morning.
Yes. They don't get that.
You gotta go down Edwards Avenue to get to town at this point.
They get just the ones that want to go and see the old cars, and it's sporadic. So that's why the traffic light does control the entrance there.
Okay. While we're on the subject,
She wants to talk about a resolution that's up.
Oh, yeah, when Sal's done. When Sal's done.
Steve-
while we're on the subject of administration fee of $192, are we also keeping track of the nonprofit and the
Well,
use and the use of the police department?
That's gonna be a decision the board has to make.
I mean, given our budget woes, I would think that we'd start spreading the costs around to everybody.
That's a decision the board has to make.
And that's it.
Thank you, Sal.
Young lady, Mr. Romano's gonna speak next, and then you're welcome to speak. How you doing, Steve?
Steve Romano, Riverhead. I'm conflicted by the $6 million loan you guys proposing.
So am I.
And I realize that the alternatives are pretty ugly and pretty drastic. But this kind of reminds me of previous decisions made by previous elected officials, in particular the CPF funds, where they said, let's borrow a lot of money, we're going to buy property, and don't worry, the CPF funds that come in each year will be flush and we'll never have a problem. What happened? Everybody knows the CPA funds aren't flush, and the taxpayers are picking up
part of that expense. What happens if the property doesn't sell?
Steve, I can't be, this will be on somebody's palm card next year, so get ready, here it is, write it down. Challenging me. If we take the loan and we're successful, we will be heroes, if you will, and your taxes not only won't go up to $200 or $300, we'll probably be able to bring them down. All indications are things are going very well for EPCAL. You should be happy to know that the town of Riverhead GNP, if you will, gross national product, if you will, increased 3.66%. In other words, this town grew 3.66% in 2013. It's a direct result of what this board did. No other town in Suffolk County has done that. Everybody's around 1% or less, most or less. So we have a pretty good track record of moving projects and getting things on the tax rolls. If we're successful, it's great. If we fail, it's going to be a whole lot worse. And so the question becomes, what is the right thing to do? I believe, and I think some other council members believe that we should take the risk because we're going to make some very large land sales. Now, Councilman Wooten, I sort of mentioned before, he's ill. He's not here today. There's council members have asked to table all of these resolutions so that Councilman Wooten will be here to weigh in on them. So I don't expect any of them to pass today. But Steve, it is. I don't want to say this is the hardest vote for this town board because there's been probably the layoffs were harder. But there's no easy way out. It's either the 12%, we can massage the numbers down, increase, which I've said this before too, the smart money's on the increase. That's the easy thing to do. Raise the taxes. You look at John Vendetto in Oyster Bay, and Newsday has sort of eviscerated him in the Newsday editorial section today, because they didn't do the things they should have done for the past 5 years. Cut expenses, cut employees. We've done all that. So I leave it to the conscience of the board. I leave it to you, the voter, because three of us are going to be up next year, in theory, to run and face the voters. And I can tell you that I'm leaning towards the loan, but you know, it is going to be a interesting vote when we put it up.
It will be.
I have a novel suggestion. Although when you come to each meeting, and each meeting there's a group or a person wants the town to do something for them, and that costs money. And I don't think the public's ready for brutal honesty to say, based on the decisions that have been made over the last 10 or 15 years, what should happen is we should pay the 12% tax increase to pay our bills on things that we want done, but with a promise that if the property is sold, we would then get the following or the third year maybe a 20% decrease. This way we don't borrow the money, we're honest with the public, and we pay our bills for what everybody seems to want. Like I said, there's not a meeting here, and I was a little frustrated by Lakewood, where people don't want to call up the town when there's a problem. That's crazy. What do you want? To hire another 2-3 code enforcement people and sit in the park? You have to help the town. Otherwise, every little thing that we want is going to cost money. But I don't know if that's a novel idea that would work, brutal honesty. Probably it would be the right thing, but none of you would get reelected.
But I agree with you. I'm not a gambling man. And I'm not going to gamble that we are going to sell property there within 2 years. And we're going to get the money because of all the permit processes that everybody has to go through. I'd rather go with the tax increase. And if we do sell property, the next year that we have the money, give it back to the taxpayers in a tax decrease. So I'm inclined to vote for the increase.
Right. I'd like to comment on that. Steve, unfortunately, the real world is once you give the government that 12.5%, you're never getting it back. You'll never get it back because it'll be a different board, things change. Okay, so that's why I personally would like to hold it to that tax cap 2%. And, you know, we may approve $6 million. We may only take $1.5 million out of there. and then hit the jackpot.
Yeah,
You know
but
what I'm saying? I think,
we don't know it.
I think we don't know it, but
That's right.
I'd rather hold off to 12.5, because once that raise goes up, you're never gonna get it back, and once you're at that plateau, who knows? But I think we have some exciting things coming with the subdivision, and we also have the energy park, which could solve everything. The numbers are so huge, and believe it or not, we're still having conversation with Lypron as they're coming back and forth, looking at our entries into it. So we're still a player in the game, and it's looking better now than it did even 3 months ago. So I think to take somewhat of a risk, you know, $1.5 million, say we pull out of it this year, maybe another year, but I think that would offset that big tax increase will never
But
go away.
in 2 years, they'll have the same board. We'll know if we're getting the money. This board will make a commitment that, yes, if we get it, we'll give them a tax decrease. We're gonna have the same board.
I don't want to
2
First
years
of all-
from now.
John, I don't want to get into a debate,
No, I'm not
but we
getting
might
into a
not have
debate.
the same board in 2 years. All right.
But it's a good idea.
All right,
That's
thank
just
you.
my
Thank
input.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Young lady, would you like to be heard today? If you step up to the microphone.
Evening. I'm sorry, I apologize, I never had to come to one of these before.
If you could state your name and hamlet, or where you're from, for the record.
I'm Jenny Goodman, I live in Lake Grove, but I actually am one of the owners of the Endless Summer Car Shows for the Splish Splash.
Could you bring the microphone closer to you, please?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
And I just wanted to, I was listening to that gentleman, he was talking about the police cars and stuff, so I just wanted to reassure you, this is our 3rd year of doing the show here, and thank you for the support always. One thing we're really good at is moving the cars in and out of Splish Splash. It's not like when Splish Splash is open, it's a lot less traffic. We actually visited a show that wasn't ours last year, and there
At
was some-
Splish Splash?
At Splish Splash, it wasn't our show.
Yeah, I know which one you're asking about.
And when I left, there was traffic there was 2 policemen at the
Yeah, we had-
stoplight. So, I can assure you, we would not let traffic. One thing, we split the roads to get the show cars in. We have the gates open for the spectators so that they can go in. I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference, but I just wanted to defend, you know. And my partner is a police officer, so he certainly will go out there and try and direct traffic if something like that. We should be so lucky to
We
have
don't,
that many cars.
well, we don't want him to be out there in harm's way, but that's probably why we couldn't find any receipts or invoices for you, because I don't recall us sending anybody there.
We never had a
Okay.
problem.
Well, hopefully you don't, because next year we'll charge you for it. All right, does anybody else wish to be heard?
Thank you.
Okay, can we take up the resolutions?
One more.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This young lady.
Hello,
Hi,
I'm Cassandra Castronovo from 220 Roanoke. It's regards to Resolution 601. It's with changing the zoning from DC4 to DC1 for 24 East Main Street. We're for the resolution. We're just hoping that maybe we could have the zoning change be for the parcels in the immediate area. So it'll help promote, you know, economic
yeah, we
growth.
talked about that. We wanted to move this forward, but that's definitely on the horizon for the town board, I think.
Okay, good.
Do you own property in there?
Yeah, 220 Roanoke is like on the corner of 2nd Street.
building.
Oh, it's the Oddfellows building. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Did you just buy it?
Yes, we did.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank
Were you
you.
the group that came to meet me last time? Very early on about parking issues and things?
I don't think so.
No.
No?
Now, you're not in the parking district now?
Am I in the parking district? No.
No, I think we're putting them in the, I thought
No, we're not putting them in.
Well, they got all that they got all that parking now for the fires. We're gonna put them in the parking district.
We should.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else wish to be heard? Not seeing anybody, can we take up the resolutions?
I'd like to make a motion that we close the town board meeting and open up the community development agency meeting. So move.
Unseconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
The CDA meeting is now open.
CDA Resolution Number 15 authorizes the Town of Riverhead Community Development Agency to incur indebtedness in an amount not to exceed $6 million to be secured by a mortgage on property known and described as EPCAL and authorizes the supervisor to execute a loan agreement, note, and mortgage or similar agreements in connection therewith on behalf of the Riverhead Community Development Agency and such other documents as required in connection with such loan and mortgage for the benefit of the Town of Riverhead Community Development Agency and the Town of Riverhead.
I understand there's a motion to
I
table this.
make a motion that we table this resolution. So move.
I second it.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Wooten? Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry.
That's it.
If you answered, I'd be worried.
Sorry. Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
And the resolution 15 is tabled. CDA Resolution 16 authorizes the supervisor to execute application for subdivision of property described and identified in the Comprehensive Development Plan for EPCAL Reuse and Revitalization Plan, and draft supplemental generic environmental impact statement, and authorizes referral of the application for subdivision to the Planning Board for the Town of Riverhead.
So moved.
I'd second it.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio?
Yes.
Gabrielson?
Yes.
Dunleavy?
Yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Resolution 16 is therefore duly adopted, and that completes the business of the
I make a
CDA.
motion we close the Community Development Agency meeting and reopen the Town Board meeting. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Town Board meeting is now reopened. Resolution 588.
I think we have a motion to table this as well.
This is the tape.
Yes, like the motion to table, Resolution 588. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
To table, yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution 588 is tabled. Resolution 589.
Table.
I make a motion we table this resolution, number 589. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes to table.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution 589 is tabled. Resolution 590.
Rescinds Resolution 579 of 2014, authorizes town clerk to post and publish a public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 108 entitled Zoning of the Riverhead Town Code, Transfer of Development Rights, 108-330, Redemption of Preservation Credits. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 591.
Authorize the town clerk to publish and post a public notice to consider a local law to amend Chapter 108 entitled Zoning of the Riverhead Town Code, Transfer of Development Rights, 108-330, Redemption of Preservation Credits. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 592.
Suffolk County District Attorney's Forfeited Asset Sharing Program. It's a budget adoption. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Thank you, Councilman Dunleavy, and thank you, District Attorney Spota. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Can't wait to get on those quads. Am I right?
What? No, this is for the four-wheel drive beach vehicle.
Yeah, I think quad or whatever. Yeah.
And
Okay.
this is the
Same
second
thing.
vehicle we're getting from
Right.
the DA.
That's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 593.
Town Board direction to Personnel Director and Financial Administrator to process Town Justice Alan Smith's request for retirement benefits. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, and this is going to save the town money. So I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 594.
Terminates the employment of a laborer in the sanitation department.
Seconded.
Second. Not that, I didn't so moved. Second.
Sean, you seconded?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Moved and seconded,
second.
vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 595.
Authorize the acceptance of a donation from Now Rogers Productions Incorporated. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
It was very important when we were contemplating this event that Councilman Gabrielson pushed for what is the benefit to the taxpayer by having this event in our town. And they assured that they would make a donation to our recreation department, and they did. So Councilman Gabrielson pursued that, and for that I want to thank him, and I will vote yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes, and with the PAL, we need it for the football referee expense and the soccer referee expense, so we're going to thank them, yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, I gotta thank, Councilman Gabrielson and Neil Rogers Productions, because even though we did not have the concert, they canceled it, they still donated the money that they said they were gonna donate. So I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 596.
Recreation Fund, budget adjustment, so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 597.
General Fund budget adjustment, so moved.
And second.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 598.
Accepts donation of park improvements for the Duke Dog Park from Riverhead MTAS Incorporated. Move the animal shelter. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I want to thank the MTAS and Denise Lucas for all that they've done for all of our parks and for the well-being of our dogs throughout the town, so yes.
Gabrielson.
Also like to thank Councilman Wooten.
Yes.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, I guess I have to thank her, MTS, because they did all the work, and Councilman Wooten for being their liaison. Vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 599.
Authorize the supervisor to issue a letter to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services allowing the use of Pine Barrens credits originating from property located in Riverhead for the use in Islip. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 600.
Ratifies the appointment of a bus driver to the Recreation Department. So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, this is a part-time call-in bus driver. So we're not adding a full-time position right now. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 601.
The town board declares lead agency and authorizes the town clerk to publish and post a public notice to consider a change of zone from DC4 to DC1 for the property located at 24 East 2nd Street, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-128-5-25.1. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I think that this should be a comprehensive zone change look, and we should be looking at all the surrounding communities, not just doing it for one parcel, and for that reason, I will vote no.
Gabrielson.
I will vote yes, and hopefully we'll expand the zone soon. I think it's got to be expanded.
Dunleavy.
Yes, I think this zone should go to the railroad tracks. But this is gonna bring in money to the town of Riverhead, which we need right now, so I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 602.
Approves Chapter 90 application of the original Endless Summer Championship Car Shows, LLC, September 21st, 2014, at Split Splash Water Park. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I did inquire about this today, and there were no records discovered that this cost us any money last year, and there is nothing in the resolution asking them for money, so I'll vote yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 603.
Approves the Chapter 90 application of Garden of Eve, LLC, Long Island Garlic Festival. If you want to smell garlic and taste it, then go out there. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
I'm gonna wear it around my neck. Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution
And
604.
I think they're the ones that are paying $192?
Yes.
They're paying $192 for our traffic control officer to be out there.
Okay. 604 approves the Chapter 90 application of Halleckville Inc. as for the Fall Festival and Craft Fair, September 13th and 14th, 2014. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 605.
Ratifies the approval of the Chapter 90 application of Home Depot Development of Maryland, Inc., tent sale August 14th, 2014 through October 6th, 2014. So moved.
And seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, what they did, they made a mistake and only put it for one day, so they had to redo it and put it in for the complete days that they're gonna be at the tent there. I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 606.
Appoints interpreter for the police department and justice court. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes, I just hope that we do get a Spanish-speaking police officer, so, we ought to keep having to hire a interpreter, so I vote yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 607.
Authorize the supervisor to execute application for subdivision of property described and identified in the comprehensive development plan for FCAL reuse and revitalization plan, and draft supplemental generic environmental impact statement, and authorize the referral of the application for subdivision to the planning board for the town of Riverhead. So moved.
And seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 608.
Pays bills, so moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
Yes.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
All right, I have one resolution, I'm not gonna push it off the floor, but two council members have approached me to ask me to not sign the BAS contract. I have not signed the BAS contract. Bob going to give me a written opinion that I can sign it, he has told me that I can sign it. There's no money in the budget, there's not even enough money to cover the BAS contract now, but one of the council members that wanted me not to sign it, even though I guess I was going to get sued by the town board recently, is not here. So I don't know, is there 3 votes to pull this resolution off the floor to rescind the BAS contract?
I make a motion that we pull this resolution
Okay.
609 off the floor.
And second to take it off the floor?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
To take it off the floor?
Yes.
No.
Gabrielson.
Yes.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay.
I'm sorry, to take it off the floor. I don't even have it.
All right,
So-
I'm taking resolution 609 off the floor, entitled rescinds the resolution.
We took it off the floor, you gotta move it now.
Yeah, we're moving resolution, rescinds resolution number 334 of 2014.
Seconded?
Moved and seconded, vote please.
Giglio.
sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I just want to say that this software package was a very inexpensive way of keeping track of quality of life issues, of coordinating the code enforcement division to the building department so that violations could be issued and followed up upon with the building department, that we have a senior building inspector that is sitting in the department sending out basically handwritten letters to people telling them that their permits have expired. To date, we have collected $50,000, and there is $100,000 outstanding of just letters that he's generated by hand from January until now. The computer software program costs $44,000, and the board decided on, I believe it was May 6th, 4-1, with 4 board members saying, yes, we need to create efficiency in the departments and have the departments speak to one another. And the supervisor voted no. The resolution was approved on May 6th. It is now August 19th. The resolution or the contract to authorize the purchase of that software program has not been signed by the supervisor, and now he's asking that it be rescinded. And I think in order to create efficiency in the departments and so that the departments can speak to one another by computer rather than running back and forth from this building to the building department, that it's important that we buy this software and get it implemented right away, especially with layoffs in sight. And creating efficiency is more important when you have possible less people in the departments. So I will vote no to rescind this resolution because I think this software package is very important and vital to our quality of life and efficiency and communication between the departments.
Gabrielson?
A lot has changed, I think, since May 6th, in light of the supervisors showed us the budget woes we face. And we also had a conversation, just to move it a little bit, over at the accounting department. He wanted $160,000 to implement his computer system. At the time, I said, well, let's put it off till we see how the numbers come in September. Let's see what's left in the budget. We don't have the money for this right now. So we have two choices. I still rather wait until September, and the numbers come in. We may move forward with it, but at this time, we don't have the liberty to do that. And I think right now, the supervisor's kind of in a spot, because either we move it, and I would like to wait to see where the numbers come up in about a month or so. And so I think we have to rescind it, but I absolutely want to readdress it again when we do our budget. Okay?
That's a yes.
So that's a yes.
Dunleavy?
I'm not one of the two members that asked for this to be rescinded, but I don't want to take a loan out either, and this is going to put us in deeper until we find out if we have the money. It wasn't budgeted last year, and if we want to go on with this, we can budget it at the end of this year, put it on our budget for next year, or if we have money left over, and they say, yes, we can, and I'm going by what our accounting. We have an accounting department who, the persons and people who run and tell us what funds we have, where we can spend it. So I'm counting on them to let me know if we can before the end of the year, or put it in our budget for next year. So I have to vote yes.
Walter?
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Okay, does anybody else wish to address the board on any matter?
I'm back. I gave you a couple of months break. Rental permits. It sounded like from what the Lakeview people were talking about and what you were mentioning, Sean, is that the law that we have on the books is basically, the town is toothless to really enforce anything. And the only time it gets enforced or actually instituted is by law-abiding citizens who want to do the right thing.
No, we do a lot of things, and the public should know. We scan Craigslist, we scan the local rentals, we do a lot of stuff. But if you're renting to nefarious people, they may not be. Well, Craigslist might be a place to go, but other places they may not be advertised. So we do a lot, but we need the public's help as well.
But on that note, and me and the town attorney, we've had some back and forth in regards to if you have a permit issued and now the renewal period comes up, and the person doesn't renew, and it sounds like there's quite a few people that don't renew in any timely fashion. Isn't there any enforcement mechanism? It sounds like the town is way too flexible, because as a president of a condo, who, when we find out somebody doesn't have a legal permit, we're smacking them with fines right away, and they complain to us and say, why are you doing that when the town doesn't do it? So it puts us in an awkward position, and I'm wondering if the town's losing money by actually not being a little bit hard-nosed.
Because it's a criminal proceeding for us.
Oh, it's not a financial?
It's a criminal proceeding. It's a
Couldn't you-
violation of the law. So you have, it's this showing.
Well, I'll chime in, because Mr. Romano and I did have an exchange, and I have to say that his community is very vigilant in who rents and who doesn't rent, and keeping track of the time in which those rental permits expire. And because of their vigilance, it makes our ability to enforce rentals in his community simpler and easier.
Thank you.
I'll say that outright. We don't have the ability to enact liens or common charges or assessments as you can under the type of format or setup that you have. It is a justice court driven process. We do try to gain compliance initially. There's a letter that generally goes out prior to the expiration of the rental permit process. I know for a fact the individual who's charged of that sometimes comes in on Saturdays and Sundays to make sure that they go out in a timely fashion, sometimes with or without overtime.
Thank you.
And we try to do that. because of communities being vigilant, that helps us. That's all I can say. I mean, maybe we need to beef up the fines.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna, is the town prohibited by law from instituting a policy of fines and then throwing it on a tax bill if they don't pay?
We would need to go out and recodify that
So you
particular
could do
statute.
that.
I don't know
Yeah.
that would be a tough thing to do, because you're talking about, that's your single-family residence. You've got to have a real, that's a very difficult showing. You can't, I mean, you can't go in and search somebody's house. So just because you say it's a rental and they don't show up, doesn't mean it's a rental. We have to have our own.
Well, that was my point. The law basically is toothless.
Can I say something?
I'm
We
just
okay.
want to say, we did, as the supervisor alluded to, we did check postings, Craigslist, and we went into a number of places.
Don't go too far.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far. But we did go in and we were able to gain access, and we brought those people to the Justice Court, and we did extract fines from them. Maybe it's not out there that people are aware of that, because there's probably others who are out there that we haven't caught yet. But in the instances where we did catch them, we did make them pay fines.
But we're a reactive town and not a proactive. And myself and Councilwoman Giglio wanted to, because this is income to the town that we don't have to share with anybody, that we wanted to hire another code officer, first for safety, because we still have 10 to 12 or 13 people living in a single-family house, but also to get the ones that are not redoing it. The easiest way to our code enforcement officers, if they go out, they just have to knock on the front door and ask the name of the person who's living there, and if they say it's a different name than what we have, that means that there's somebody else living there that's not rental, because they have to give us the name of the people that they're renting it to. So,
Which is
again,
probably
that's the easiest way to do it, and the safest way to do it, but you need someone to do it, and that's where we fall short.
And if I can add on to that, I can tell you that I spent 2 days in code enforcement looking at their filing system and their tracking system, and they handwrite letters to people saying them that their rental permits have expired, and it'll be 6 months or 8 months later after the rental permit's expired, and that rental permit is still not renewed. And that's money sitting in the drawer that this computer software program would have captured and sent them 3 letters in 3 consecutive months, and after 3 months, you write a ticket and you send them into justice court because they didn't renew their rental permit. These are drawers full of rental permits that have not been renewed and we are not collecting any money on. And I can show you the drawers, Bob. You shake your head, but I can show you exactly where they are. They're in the file cabinet closest to the drawer, second drawer down.
That's
so
right.
the reality
But
is,
we have a code enforcement officer living in your community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
does
she
a
should be
fantastic
right on
job.
top
anything over
of
We
your
communicate
community.
very well, me and Nicole.
That's it.
the town uses an Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and that is a computer program. They could use mail merge if they chose to, but they send a form letter. For the same reason that we rescinded the BAS contract, for the same reason that we are considering a tax increase or a loan, we can't get there from here with the money that the budget brings in, and so some things are going to suffer, and to get everything everybody wants, your tax increase would be 20%, and so we rely on people like you to help us. We rely on people in the Lakewood community. Honestly, I don't think that gentleman speaks for the residents of Lakewood.
I mean, it's crazy not to call something out when you see
But
it.
that we rely on those things, and every town in Suffolk County does the same thing. They rely on the neighborhood watches, the residents of the eyes and the ears, and we do obviously do proactive things.
One other quick question. You guys changed the fire code law a couple of years ago, and you know my pet peeve over the $10. I'd like to know, has there been any decrease based on the laws that you guys enacted? There were 4,000 false alarm codes. Has the law made any dent in that? And if not, again, You guys pass laws, and if you don't enforce them, what good is it?
Yeah, so we do enforce it, and last time I looked at it, there's decreases when, in specific areas like, I don't want to throw out Tanger, but there's decreases because once you get the fine a few times, you fix your problem.
But the problem
I
is,
can tell you as the office that gets the calls when the bills go out, the bills are going out for the false
the
alarms.
bills are going out, but they're
Every
not being
quarter,
paid.
every quarter we get the calls.
Yeah, but they're not being paid.
Some aren't,
If you
some are.
look, 3/4 of the bills do not get paid. And we have a lieutenant, and we have a code enforcement officer, and we have a deputy town attorney that we're spending money for. I agree with you that it should be put on a tax bill
If you
of
could
the
do it,
owner
that would
of
be-
the
yeah.
building, and we will get paid. Southampton does it, and I'm bringing it up for changing the code, that we apply it to their taxes at the end of the year, because we have a lieutenant going out knocking on doors, trying to get correct addresses. You wanna see how many envelopes we get back, because we have the wrong addresses. And I think that has to change. We have to be making the money and not spending it, and that's what's happening.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Anybody else want to be heard this evening? Not seeing anybody, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
You want to be heard,
I'll never
miss?
take
Does she wanna be heard?
Okay, goodbye.
All right, I make a motion we adjourn.
All in favor, aye.